Hi, and welcome back to the Citizen channel and our continuing thank you. Looking back at the media, looking back at my own personal observations on Bernardo, of course. A little thank you. We're up to part 8, guys, so dip in and out of the other 7 parts if you can. It'd be great to do these, and I hope you enjoy them. As I say, it's quite a unique look back at our Bernie over the time he spent with us. A long time, of course. It doesn't seem like yesterday, doesn't it? Anyway, we'll have a look at that, guys. If you watch on TikTok or YouTube, hit those buttons if you can. Give us your support. It'd be wonderful. Help me as a content creator. A lot of history stuff, of course, and modern city stuff, of course. So hope you enjoy anyway. And hit those buttons, hit that notification button. And if you're on YouTube, you're not already a subscriber, please join us. That'd be wonderful. And yeah, last time we finished in... Yes, an interesting season, 22-23, season 2022-23, and we finished in early May with Bernie and City, of course, on the verge of something, all of us, on the verge of something very special. And even proper decent football fans would have probably considered it something special as well. But there's not many of those about, is there, outside of our own support? Anyway, Bernardo made his 300th appearances, although only as a late substitute for City against Leeds in the 2-1 win on May the 6th. Next up, just a small matter of a trip over to the Bernabeu, of course, on the 9th of May. It ended satisfactorily for City, a 1-1 draw. We'll take that. We'll bring that back to our place. Simon Bukowski of the Manchester Evening News has said he gave Camavinga problems and kept him alert all night. Although he was skinned for the goal. Yes, he scored him a 6 out of 10. Yeah, he got a 6 out of 10 from me as well. Not at his best tonight, I said, but always a nuisance. Of course, his best was yet to come in the home leg. First, though, another little cameo on the 14th of May. Yeah, Pep was trying to give him a little bit of rest here and there, replacing Gundogan on 77 minutes in a 3-0 win at Everton. And on to that second leg with Real Madrid, with 2 goals for our Bernie on the 17th of May in a brilliant, a stunning, one of the best nights at the Etihad, of course, a 4-0 win. The crowd was up for it, the team were up for it. He was put through by KDB, of course, gave the old keeper Courtois the eye and smashed home City's first, and then he pounced on an attempted clearance to head City into a 2-0 lead. Simon Bukowski of the Evening News scored him a 9 out of 10. He said some rash decisions early on, but 2 goals speak for themselves, and he was everywhere scoring him that 9. For me, yeah, a 9 out of 10 from me as well, almost as good as a 10 out of 10 if I give anyone a 9. I said last time Gundogan stepped up, now it's this Bernardo's time to step up with 2 excellently taken goals. As I say, I scored him a 9 as well. Neil Squires from the Express completed it, 999, yes, call the police. And he called his performance magnificent. As City celebrated another title in a home win over Chelsea, Bernie got a rest on that one. He was on the bench. He said after the celebrations, it feels great to win 3 in a row. Yeah. We'll see what happens if we get 4 and 5 in 6. There are so many teams that can win it, so what you've achieved in the last few years has been really good. It's historic because not many teams have done it. Now we can enjoy it with our fans and think about the FA Cup final and Champions League final. Absolutely. Before an FA Cup final, he started in a 1-1 draw at Brighton, but was on the bench for the final league game of the season, that loss at Brentford. The second leg of the treble, a 2-1 win, of course, over our neighbours in Trafford at Wembley. A quieter game for Bernardo, though, in this one. Simon Bukowski said of his performance, didn't enjoy much joy against Shaw, but came into the game in the final stage. He scored him a 6 out of 10. I was slightly kinder. I give him a 6.5 out of 10. I said a quiet, moody performance today, but again, did assumedly what Pep wanted and fell out with Fernandes. So that was all good for me, falling out with him. On to the Ataturk, of course, and a date with destiny on the 10th of June, a 1-0 win over Inter Milan. Simon Bukowski said his performance that night did well for the goal and worked well with Stones on the right. Scored him a 7 out of 10. Yeah, I give him a 6.5. I thought he was busy, as you'd expect. I didn't think he was able to go up an extra gear at times that may have been needed. John Cross of the Mirror called his passing sloppy at times, but provided great quality for an assist. Well, it wasn't really an assist, was it? He took a deflection, but hey, yeah, we'll take it. We'll take it as a sort of assist anyway. He was, of course, selected in the 22-23 UEFA Champions League team of the tournament. In the Manchester City official treble winners book, there's a little piece on Bernie about his season, etc. This is what it had to say. As the beating heart of Manchester City team across 22-23 was Bernardo Silva. The Portuguese star is almost unique in modern football with his mix of sublime skills and technique, coupled with a work ethic that sets him apart from other playmakers. It seems there is no role within the City team that he cannot adapt to and make his own, and has been one of the Blues' most influential players for so long. It's no coincidence that only Rodri, 56, played more than his 55 appearances in our treble-winning campaign. The most games he'd played in a single season for the club. Throughout his previous 6 years at the Etihad, the versatile bundle of invention, energy and tricks has amassed 11 major honours and delivered key goals and assists in Manchester derbies, Premier League showpieces and seismic Champions League clashes. He continued his phenomenal habit throughout the 22-23 campaign, which many believe was his best yet, in a City shirt. Having not started our opening 2 matches of the season, the 28-year-old would have been champing at the bit to ignite his 7th term in Sky Blue. And he did just that when playing the entirety of our exciting 3-3 draw with Newcastle at St James's Park in what was our 3rd Premier League assignment of the season. He grabbed an excellent goal and an assist as City battled back from 2 goals down against Eddie Howe's Champions League bound side. How things have changed there. This set the tone for a sparkling season, both personally and as part of the group. A driving force within the team, Bernardo has often been the catalyst in games where City needed a flip, leading by example with his never say die attitude and will to win. Whether on the wrong side as a false 9, whether on the wrong side, whether on the wing as a false 9, a number 10, or even a deep line attacking midfielder. The best way to describe his habit of collecting the ball and going driving backwards and forwards. Bernardo has a bit of everything in his locker, and he's match winner too, as illustrated in the epic 4-0 Champions League semi-final second leg victory over Real Madrid, which secured his passage to the European showcase. In what was an electric first half display by City, Bernardo scored twice as he produced a stellar performance which earned him the Player of the Match award, leading Pep Guardiola to sound the salute for his midfield maestro. He is one of the best players I have ever seen in my life. High praise from a manager who has had quite a few good players in his time. A statistical dive into his 22-23 season certainly shows why the Catalan holds Bernardo in such high regard. Firstly, his immense versatility was highlighted as he played 23 times as a central midfielder, 14 times on the right side of midfield, and occasion at left back, most impressively in our vital 3-1 win away to Arsenal in February. Perhaps this is unsurprising when looking at his average distance travelled in the Premier League, which stands at 11.8 kilometres per 90 minutes. I've just about managed that in a year, the most of any City player last year. In fact, Bernardo accounted for each of the top 3 highest distance covered in a single league game by a Sky Blue player in 22-23. Hard work on and off the ball is a key principle to the way Guardiola side operates, and the Portuguese international is massively productive when in possession. Among the players who played the majority of the matches in central midfield, he led all of the engine room operators in the division for a total carry distance per 90 minutes in the league of 229. These immense stats translate into the Champions League too. Across every player who completed in the 22-23 competition, the 28-year-old regained possession of the ball in the final third 25 times in the Champions League last season, 7 more times than any other player. Guardiola's midfield dynamo en route to the treble, Bernardo proved to be City's standard bearer and led by example, and it was no surprise that he was heavily involved in the winning goal that secured a 1-0 win over Inter in the final. As far as popularity with the City fans, he is off the charts, of course he is, with the diminutive Portugal star adored by the supporters, and still is. A wonderful campaign by a wonderful footballer. Yeah, great piece, well said. In the Daily Mirror end-of-season player ratings, they claimed he never failed to deliver, scored him an 8 out of 10. In my own player ratings at the end of the season, he was actually finished at number 4 in my ratings, just below a 7 average mark for the season with a 6.99. He actually got 6.97 for the Manchester Evening News, but only finished in 9th, so they didn't rate him as highly as I did. At the World Cup break, both Manchester Evening News and myself had Bernardo in 2nd spot, actually, this season, so he did actually sort of fade out a little bit. His big games in the league were all pre-World Cup. 4-2 at home win. 4-2 home win over Palace on the 27th of August, United at home 6-3 on the 2nd of October, and Fulham at home 2-1 on the 5th of November. His two big games in the Champions League were Munich at home, Bayern Munich at home on the 11th of April, 3-0, and Real Madrid at home, 4-0 on the 9th of May. In only 3 games did he rate below 6. Not bad. His overall stats for the season: the Premier League, 24 starts, 10 sub-appearances, 4 goals, 6 assists. In the Champions League, 9 starts, 4 sub-appearances, 3 goals, 1 assist. In the FA Cup, 4 starts, 1 sub-appearance and 1 assist. In the Football League equivalent, or Carabao Cup, I think it was then. Yep, been with that for a while now, hasn't it? Carabao Cup, no starts, but a couple of sub-appearances, and of course he started in the Community Shield. What a glorious season that was for Burnley and City. Let's have a look at another season where we could go on to break a record, and of course we do. It's no spoiler alert in this, guys. You're all well aware of what happened in season 2023-24. And it was a new look, Burnley, wasn't it? He was going for the 1960s skinhead look. I sort of liked it. Yeah, it reminded me of myself. Anyway, pre-season, a 5-3 win over Yokohama Marinos of Japan. Richard Fay of the Manchester Evening News said, moved the ball around nicely during his half hour on the pitch. Gave him a 6 out of 10. I give him a 6.5. I said a good 30 minutes for our skinhead. No injury, that's for sure, so that helped. Pep said, I want to give minutes to Max and Bernardo. Takes conditions so quick, he added. At 4-2, I gave minutes to Max. Of course, he's talking Max Lane at the time. He playfully kicked, actually. He could playfully kick Burnley up the arse as he went off the pitch. Yeah, so he was happy with him. A 2-1 win over Bayern Munich next, and Richard Fay said again, a few loose touches, but overall a pretty solid performance. A 6 from him and a 6.5 from me. I thought he looked to entertain in this game, but Burnley saved his best to the last friendly, despite a 2-1 loss to Atletico Madrid on the 30th of July. Richard Fay said, a brilliant performance both in and out possession, scored him a 7. He got a 6.5 from me. I thought he was lively without that final piece of magic, though. Back home for the season opener, of course, in the Community Shield on the 6th of August, and yes, a loss to Arsenal on penalties. And despite Burnley scoring his, there was no need for Arsenal to even take their 5th. It's like ours a 4th spot kick with Burnley, our only score of the day, unfortunately. Simon Bukowski said, played better once he moved into midfield in the second half and looks fit for another marathon campaign, scoring him a 6 out of 10. A 6 for me. I said glimpses of stuff, but that's all. A 7, though, from Chris McKenna of the Daily Star. Anyway, the opening day saw a 3-0 win over Burnley on the 11th of August, but Burnley would possibly be asked by Pep to play everywhere again, of course, this season, as KDB picked up that early injury, didn't he? And we wouldn't see him for a long time. Simon Bukowski of the Evening News said, a quiet start became a classic silver performance, buzzing about everywhere, keep possession and moving it forward. He scored him 8 out of 10. I didn't quite agree with that. I thought he was okay, but 8, I questioned the score. I said he will take time to adjust to a more, let's say, overall workmanlike City team around him. He'll just keep doing what Pep asks, and that's what he tended to do. A 6.5. Yeah, I thought this is the sort of season where he perhaps was starting to get more play to Pep's instructions and lose some of his sort of versatility and magic, if you like. That's how I sort of looked at this season. He missed out with his own minor muscle injury on the Super Cup victory. Very rare for Burnley to get injuries over Sevilla on the 16th of August. Our first home game on the 19th of August, a 1-0 win over Newcastle. He missed that as well. On the 23rd of August, he had time, though. He had time on his hands to extend his contract until 2026. Next up, a hop, skip and a jump over to Sheffield in a 2-1 win at Sheffield United on the 27th of August. He played in this one. Simon Bukowski said, played the role that Foden did against Newcastle, and he came on strong in the second half to make the difference. He scored him a 7 out of 10. I give him a 6.5. I thought better first half, but mostly positive. Should have shot with a chance second half, though. A 7 from Jeremy Cross in the Daily Mirror. On the 2nd of September, a 5-1 home win over Fulham, and he was in a bit of a mood. Yeah, he didn't replace Rodgers until the 76th minute, but I'd argued quite a lot with the 4th official in the meantime on the touchline, or the technical area, wherever the 4th official hangs out. Enough to get himself a booking on the pitch as well. Grumpy Bernie, I said. On the 6th of September, an incredible 7 City players were nominated for the 2023 Ballon d'Or. Alvarez, KDB, Diaz, Gvardiol, Haaland, Rodri, and of course our Bernie. On the 16th of September, a 3-1 win at West Ham. This is from the match report. On 76 minutes, it's 2-1 as Alvarez scoops and little Bernardo gets his foot high to guide it past Areola and into the corner. And also from the match report, finally on 86 minutes, City put this to bed. And finally, Haaland gets a goal as Alvarez finds Bernardo, who crosses for Erling, who fires home superbly. He was replaced on 95 minutes by Oscar Bob. Simon Bukowski said of his performance, Rodri's partner in crime to break up West Ham attacks and played a blinder from the wing in the second half. He scored him a 9 out of 10. Yeah, it was slightly less. I give him an 8.5 out of 10. I said, came into it as West Ham tired and ran things, and a typical Bernardo poacher goal. Just a 6 though from Tom Hopkinson for the Mirror. I'm not sure what game he was watching. He must have watched a different one. Well, Bernie's hair has started to grow a little bit longer by now, so he possibly mixed him up with someone else. I'm not too sure. Some confusion at the game and a 3-1 win over Red Star on the 19th of September at the Etihad. He was taken off just before half-time. Simon Bukowski said, didn't seem to play badly but was taken off before half-time despite not appearing to be injured. Scored him a 6 out of 10. I questioned it as well. I did score him a 6.5. I was a bit more generous. But I thought he played okay, so surely he came off because he was injured, I thought, at the time. And he got a 5 from Neil Squires of the Express, just a 5 out of 10. And, of course, Pep later confirmed an injury, and he would definitely be out for the next game, a 2-0 home win over Forest. In fact, we lost 2 out of 3 without him, including defeats away at Wolves and Newcastle, before a return on the 4th of October and a 3-1 win at RB Leipzig. Joe Bray said of his game, Joe Bray of the Manchester Evening News said, hugging the touchline to free up space for Lewis, Bernardo's return is a huge boost for City, and this is a reminder that he can play as a proper winger too. A great ball for Lewis to set up the goal, with the pair forming an effective partnership. But how did he not score in the first half? Yeah, he missed a bit of a sitter actually. Anyway, Joe scored him a 7 out of 10. I gave him a 6.5. I said he wasn't as effective second half, but welcome back, Bernie. A 6 from Gideon Brooks in the Express. He couldn't, though, prevent defeat in the Emirates, or at the Emirates, next on the 8th of October. A 1-0 reverse that one. Simon Bukowski said of his performance, spent most of the game sitting in front of the centre-backs before pushing up when the first subs came on. He pulled off both roles well, scored him a 7 out of 10. I give him a 6. I said very deep, okay, but nothing going forward, as per Pep's instructions. John Cross of the Mirror scored him a 7 out of 10. Right, we're going to catch up next time, guys. In the next part of this, we're going to actually we get time to catch up with what Bernie's thinking and what's happening with Bernie as we approach the Brighton game on the 21st of October, featured in the Matchday programme. So join me next time for a look at that. And, of course, we'll carry on this little thank you to Bernardo. Thanks for watching, guys. Until we meet again, I'll never ask one thing, don't I? Please stay safe, everyone, especially you Blues.